Welcome once again to our weekly Discovery for People Managers session. So, this week we are going to continue from where we left off in the last session, and we will necessarily need to move very fast or faster than before because we have quite a number of things to cover today. And this is still the incremental effort we've been making towards sharpening and building capabilities in terms of data for people managers and people who deal with data in general, or people who have one or two interactions with data, either workforce data or data as it were. So, in the last class, we stopped at okay, we've done common types of visualization. We've spoken about the bar chart, we've spoken about the pie chart, we've spoken about the line chart, the column charts, scatter plots, which we also mentioned that um, it helps us to identify outliers, and outliers are um, data points or figures that are significantly greater than the bulk of other data points or significantly less than the bulk of other data points. So today we go straight into creating visualization with Excel. We've done this before, but we just try and take conscious steps to um, undertake this again and see a couple of methods that we can necessarily apply while doing that. So, in the course of that, we will also get back to outliers and some anomalies or some usual occurrences that happen within data. So let's go straight to our workshop where we have the data sets to work with. So we'll be seeing how to create a line chart, and we'll also do something on a column chart, and we do something on pie charts, so which should have given us some useful information on how to deal with charts in general. So let's get right on it straight. Sure, this is needed now. I can delete this guy. Do I need this data set now? Do I need this one now? Maybe. Okay. For line charts, we can start with this, and so let's see how we could just make some chart out of here. Um, so I can pick a line chart from here, pick something. This is line, stack line, stack, stack. Okay, I can pick stack line with markers. So That's how to, let me undo this again. So that's how to quickly bring out a chart from a table. This is a pivot table actually from this entire data set called sales data. So this is a pivot table. I just highlighted the header and the contents of that table. There are not too many items. So from A3 to C8, then I pick my inserts. I go down here to the chart section. Under that insert menu ribbon, so I click here, I can pick the options of insert that I want. So this is stack line, this stack line 100%. So this one is line with markers. This one is stack line with markers. So I can pick line with markers. And here you go. I have the charts. So you can play around the charts a bit just to make it look neater and nicer, because you want as many people as possible that will be making use of the data to quickly have a visual understanding of what he's talking about. So you need to clean it a bit. So to do that here, so I can go directly on, say, okay, I want to change, I want to make sure that I introduce currency right on this vertical column. So I can select the vertical column here, then I pick this particular icon, which is the axis icon, right on this format axis. So on doing that, I pick that. I want to uh, introduce the currency to those numbers on the vertical line. So I pick this number, select it down. Then under category section is currently general. So I can open the drop down arrow and look down to where I can find what I need. In this case, I need currency. So I have picked currency. Then it's currently by default in 2 decimal places. I don't need 2 decimal places there because I don't want the chart or graph to look too busy. So I can change that 2 decimal places to 0. I don't need decimal places, and that's fine. And the effect should be on the chart straight away. So I don't have decimal places again. Now I have currency already introduced. So it looks a bit neater than what it was before, because before we don't know what those numbers stand for, if they are actually representing any other unit of measurement. But now it's showing currency, which is clearer. So thereafter, what do I want to do here again? I want to clean this thing a bit up. I select the chart, select this chart element icon, which is represented as plus. So on clicking it, I want to put axis to the chart. So I want to introduce axis title. So the moment I'm selecting axis title, it gives me a provision of a box for vertical axis and a box for horizontal axis. So on the axis title here, I can change this one to US dollars for the vertical, because that's what those numbers there are representing. Then this one on the horizontal, I can change it to, of course, it's representing here. That's fine. What else do I want to remove from this chart that is not making it look nicely? So all these chart title, no, all these other things that are here, I can remove it. So just right click on any of them and select. So I can hide axis field button on chart, hide all. So if I click on hide axis field button, to only hide this particular one I'm working on, which is here. But if I say hide all, it will remove that for value and that on the top. So all of them will go away. You can see. So the chart is looking neater. Okay. What else do I want to remove or clean up? Is that all? I can also, okay, I want to give my charts a title. So I come here and create chart title. So it is, what title is it now? It is revenue and profit. So I can say the title here is revenue versus profits. And do I need to put, hmm, just let it be neater? That's fine. What else do I want to do? The legend label, I can just come here and change it right on the table here. So this is 12-month profit. I can change that to annual profits. Then to change automatically on the chart. Yep. Then this one too is 12-month revenue. I can change that to annual revenue. So that one is also automatically changed on the chart. Good. So it's far neater now than any other, than what it used to be at the beginning. So I can go ahead and do the final cleanup. So I can still pick from this chart element. Then I want to remove grid lines, which is just behind the chart itself. So just come here and on select grid, then automatically those grid lines disappear. Now you have a very neat graph or chart for this particular pivot table. So which shows clearly the progression of those values and figures against each of the year from 2017 down to 2021. And you can also play around this legend. You can choose to put your legend in as many places as you want. You can move it around to achieve that. So legend, I can say, okay, I don't want this legend to be on the right because it's currently on the right. I want it to go to the left. I'll click left right here. It jumps there. If I don't want it to be on the left, now what determines where you put it? It is how your chart looks that determine do you want to reposition some of the items on the chart. So right here is on the left. Let's undo to see where it was before. The chart was looking better when it was even on the right than the left. So let's put it there. Okay. Let's check another one. Do I want to put it at the bottom? I check bottom. It's okay. The chart has more breathing space. Now I can expand right and left. Okay. Do I want to put it at the top? So it is up to you who is in charge of the design that will determine where you position each of those things. So it can be anywhere actually, but you can make it as um, easy to identify as possible. So probably should just leave it on the right as it is that way. So that is for uh, column line charts. So we can also do another one, which is right here. So we've done creating a line chart, then we can do a column chart too. So let's see what data we can use for that. So here we can pick this, then I can go ahead to just highlight this data plus the column header. Then you can pick what we need. In this case, we want column. Yes, we want column stack. Okay, yeah, column stack. This looks nice, right? Yep. So this is for this one. And here we have, you can quickly just remove this axis button, hide all axis button, hide all field buttons on the chart. So that is already hidden. What else do we want to do here? You want to change this to, or you want to introduce currency. So in this case, you put currency under category instead of the default general. So that is there. Then you can as well go ahead and change 2 decimal places to 0 decimal places. That's fine. What else do we want to do here? You can see the column stacked, stacked column chart. I want to, okay, I can remove the grid lines too. So select the chart, click on the chart element, then come down and unselect grid lines. Then the grid line goes. Then you have the color that you want. Then for this, you can equally choose to change the color. Just select the any part of the chart, click on the paint bucket. So currently it's showing this orange. So you can choose to, do we want to change the orange or we want to change the gray parts? So for the gray parts, you can just go ahead and change the gray parts. Is it to green or to what? Yep. You can equally go ahead and change the orange parts to anyone you want. Paint bucket, you can see orange already selected. Click on the drop down arrow, pick any other color you want to use. So green, do you want to use red? That was too sharp. Do you want to use yellow? That was a bit dull. Do you want to use purple? Okay, that looks a bit nicer. Then you can choose the blue part and click the paint bucket. Then go ahead and check, do you want to use green, purple, blue, what other color combination? Do you want to use something like that was too light? Do you want to do this? That was too dark. Do you want to use black? Too sharp. So we can play around the color that we want. We've had blue. Okay, maybe we eventually use the blue and just leave it that way. Or we can change all of them back to what they used to be, but you can always adjust around what you are doing. There is no crime. It depends on what color you want as a person. All right, so that's for stacked column charts. Then we can therefore go to pie chart now. And for pie charts, we can use this particular data. So same way we select this guy, then after selecting that, pick insert, come here to the chart submenu, pick 2D pie, pick the very first one right there. So the chart is in place. And for that chart being in place, you can go ahead to clean it up and make it neater now. You have this, just right click on any of those value field buttons on the chart and you can just hide all of them. So hide all field buttons on charts, those two disappear. So For the second one, did we give it a title? We need to give it a title, and that should be um what title can we give it? Let's label it. Come here, chart title. Pick this chart title. Okay, can just say product by count. So you can leave that one. Then for this, we can also say this title is revenue by H. And now we want to put some values on the stuffs that are there for the revenue. Now, how do you go about this? We can bring the value into this place by clicking, let me see here on the chart title, chart labels, what kind of, I can say you should put it inside. Okay. Give me a best fit. All right. Then what other things do I want to have on the pivots? So I go down here to have that. For the pivots, or will it go on the text option? Yes. So I want to deal with plot area. Then where is my, I need more values to be picked into that field. Okay. So should bring that other icon out. Okay. It is when I select here. Yep. So when it brings this out, I need it to do a couple of things for me. Primary, secondary axis. Okay. Still want to adjust one other thing here. It's not okay. Can leave that. Then okay, you can say pivot chart option. Showing data label. Okay, I can play around data label. So let's see more option. Okay, yep, on the more options, then the numbers. Um, on the numbers, let's see this. Let's see label option. Okay, yeah, this is where it is hiding. It has been called out. So I can add a couple of other things. I want to see more things on this pie chart. So I can pick percentage. Yep. What else do I want to see? I want to see the name of each of the category on this pie chart. Do not. So let's also pick uh yes, category name. So I'm having too much numbers, so I can remove one of them since I already have the percentage figure. So I can remove save value. Yeah, so it's neater now, and it is best fits that I've chosen. Yeah, this is more commonly to see for the pie charts. And I think there's nothing else to remove. So we have the different colors representing each of what needs to be removed. So this particular orange is 0, and that's why that orange color is not reflecting on the pie chart. So if it is more than that, maybe from 1, that color will have just come up. So other colors are reflecting because they are more than 0. And that is that for the representation of those data using charts. So we've dealt with line chart, we've dealt with column chart, we've dealt with pie chart. All right, so we can now move on to addressing anomalies in data. So how do we address anomalies? In the first place, you cannot address an anomaly that you have not discovered. So you just must find a way of discovering anomalies in the first place. And it is after you have discovered the anomalies, then you can now move to the next step of addressing or fixing those anomalies, or how do you deal with them, as it were. So there are a couple of ways to deal with anomalies in data analysis, and we could use this, for instance. So if I have something like this, so let's say I have something like this, and I want to copy it outside to see if I can get any anomalies. So I can just say that, for instance, this data looks a bit much. In this particular one, now, how do I identify an anomaly here? You can just select all of these, and on selecting all of these, you can use the chart method. Just plot a chart of this selected um, data, and we will see clearly if there is any anomalies. So anomalies in this sense has to do with um, data that are unnecessarily outrageous, and the technical term for that is outlier, meaning that data that is lying outside the value range of other set of data in the same data sets on the same column or about the same variable that a particular column is speaking about. So when a data point is significantly lower than the rest of the data in that particular variable collection, then it is an outlier. It is pointing to a likely anomaly, although not all outliers are necessarily anomalies, but first they may, I mean, you suspect them as an anomaly until you investigate what exactly led to it. Then you can now conclude whether it is actually an anomaly or it's actually a genuine or correct data, but the reason for it having or taking that particular value needs to be understood for analysis sake. So you'll be sure if it's going to skew or affect the analysis in the long run. So for this particular data, for instance, I've just selected it. So I want to see if there's an anomaly. I can just quickly plot a chart of this selected data. So already selected, pick insert, then I can go ahead and look for scatter plots. Okay, just give me scatter. Yep, scatter plots is there. Then that's okay. I can pick. So even though it is a bit difficult to see whatever an anomaly is in this data without putting your eyes closely and running your eyes through from one row to another, by the time you just go ahead to plot it, and that's the beauty of visualization. Visualization aids faster recognition of whatever is happening inside data. So it will take time to actually see the anomaly in this data as highlighted here. But the moment I plotted it using the correct visualization option, in this case, scatter plots, I can see clearly if there is an anomaly or if any data is not in alignment with the bulk of other data. So an outlier is any data point that is significantly either more or significantly lower than the rest of the data in the particular variable collection under question. So in this case, the frequency of purchase rovers around between, let's say, from nearly zero or let's say 0 point something or 1 up to 40. So every other data falls between that 1 and 40 or 0 point something and 40. But there is this particular one that lies beyond that. It is far more than 120. In fact, it is in number 132. That is strange. How can we explain why several other data, in fact, 99% of the entire data are between 1 and 40, but this particular one is 132. So that should raise a suspicion to the analysts, and you have to pencil that and make investigation as to what exactly happened. And most of the times, data that are outliers as a result of human error during data imputing or movement of data from one particular repository to another. So it could just be just minor human error. Probably the person wanted to write just 13, and just a mistake unknown to the person, he wanted to put 2 elsewhere, and somebody else put 2 behind the 13, and it becomes 132. So that data becomes an outlier. So if there is no uh, genuine explanation for that data point being 132, it means it is or it must have been a human error, and it needs to be either corrected using the highest value that is in the data set. In this case, about 40. You just let it go beyond 40 slightly, or you delete it altogether. So most of the time, it is recommended to be deleted if you have a very large data set, and removing just one role of data observation will not affect the overall analysis in the long run. So it's recommended to be deleted. If not, you can use the method of, okay, let's check the highest of the other ones that are within the expected range. So which one is the highest? So just get uh, a little markup to that highest one, and you put the figure for this outlier in that. Or sometimes some people use some other formula, or there are some statistical formulas that you can use to determine, okay, what value can you give an outlier if it's been confirmed that it is not an error. So you do not want to delete that observation rule. You want to keep it. Then you need to bring it down to the level of others. Or if it is an outlier that is far lower than the rest of the data, you want to also bring it up to probably a little bit close to the lowest of the data that are in alignment. So those are different ways of dealing with outliers as they are. But one important thing we are trying to achieve here is that it is difficult to spot out an outlier in a huge data set. So this one is not even more than 40 items of data here. It is still difficult to quickly identify what an outlier is unless you look closely and scroll up and down from the first one to the last one. But if the data set is more than this, let's say 1,000 or more than that, you cannot possibly look from 1 to 1,000 without getting tired, and you may not even quickly see it as fast as expected. So it is recommended that you just quickly plot a scatter chart, or you can say, use a scatter plot chart to visualize that particular data set, and clearly you will see it within seconds where the outlier is, or if there is outlier or not. So in this case, so in this case, this is an outlier. Now compare that to the rest of the data, which are all of these. See where they are falling. So visualization helps straight away to spot outlier or anomalies, and you can quickly pencil it somewhere for investigation at the source where the data came from to you as an analyst. So those are ways to spot outlier. Then after that, we also want to so we have seen how to discover outliers. So how do we fix it too? I've also spoken about fixing outliers and all that. Now about outliers and anomalies. So I've spoken about it equally in passing. So outliers and anomalies, um, outlier could be an anomaly, and it may not necessarily be an anomaly. Anomaly is something that is wrong, away from the expected rightness. So, how do I know if an outlier is an anomaly? It is when, after investigating, asking from the source of the data that, okay, so item of data in row numbers so is this. The input record of that data, can you check what exactly is there so you can be sure if the error or anomaly started at that point. So if the person checking or the data clerk checks and could say that, oh, that was an error, it was actually supposed to be 1 3, not 1 3 2, because from the source document I can still see that it was 1 3. So the third digit, which is 2, must have been entered in error. So such an outlier is an anomaly, and it can be removed, or it can be not. It can be corrected by just removing the 2 behind it and leaving it as 13, since it's been confirmed now. Such confirmation conversation should be documented for record purpose. Now, that is if the outlier is not necessarily an anomaly. But in a situation where the outlier is an anomaly because um, that is how it is, even from source, and There is no other explanation to it that, okay, nobody made any error. It was just the way it is. So, in that sense, it is not an anomaly. It means it is a genuine data. It happened that way. Then, question need to be raised: how come that particular line of data is that much on that particular day? Could you check and trace back as far as who the customer was that came to make that purchase? If the data is a sales data, who was the customer? Where does the customer come from? Because after that particular incident or instance, there was no such figure for sales again. So could it be that the person was just new in town, just came around as a tourist, or just came visiting, or person is traveling and needed to buy some very huge amount of items, taking it elsewhere? Those kind of conversation or information needed, needs to be found out, just to be sure of what was responsible for that particular um, unusual purchase, which is being recorded in the sales book. So that is how to deal with outliers and anomalies. So, how do you then interpret visualization with respect to outliers? So, we could do that. For instance, let's just create another pivot chart from here. Insert pivot table. Yeah, I need my yes header, then put it in a new worksheet. Yes, go. So, what do I want to pick now? Do I want to pick which item? I want to pick date. Do I also want to pick maybe order quantity? Yep. So you can see that this is what we have right here. And how do I know the highest to the lowest? Right here, I can sort this quickly from highest to lowest. So in that case, it will be um, descending order. So give me this. Yes, I can see. So I have right here now that the highest number is 43, and 43 is expected to be something very huge. If you see the lowest is 1, and you can see 43 coming as huge as that. So if I choose, I can quickly also do a chart for this, just to view if I have an outlier, which of course I do have from all indication. Yes, can that plot? You can't create this chart type with data. Yes, sorry. Scatter plot cannot be created directly from a pivot table. So you will need to go and copy it out and pull it out of that pivot table. After that is done, you can then be able to do a scatter plot from it. So insert, then give me no more pie chart. Give me a scatter plot. Yep. So I can easily see if I have an outlier. And yes, I do have. See the rest. This is where they are. This is where the whole of other ones are lying. Lying. And this is where I have my outlier. So the visualization shows to me straight away that there is an outlier. So, how do I make more findings about this outlier? As it is, if you check this, you can see that the outlier is 43, and it happened when? On the 19th of December 2021. So don't forget, this particular column E, which we copied from column B, is a sum of other quantity, meaning that the value you see against each of the dates may not just be a singular value, purchase value or sales value on that day. It may be an addition of three or four sales that happened that day. So as long as it happened that day, it has added all of them into one and just recorded it against the dates. So now I'm having an outlier against the 19th of December. So what do? I need to go back into the data sets and check 19th of December. And I may not necessarily see just one 19th of December. It may be many items under 19, and each of them are all 19th or happened on the 19th of December. So I want to know which of those items under 19th of December actually contributed the most to this value of outlier. So let's check the main data set now. So we go straight. So that should escape now. Yeah. So we are going to the main data set and we want to see 19th of December, right? So on the 19th of December, we have, yes, how many items now? Starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In fact, 10 items of sales were recorded on 19th of December. So let's see the quantity. Which of them contributed the most to that 43? So this is the other quantity in column N. All of them are relatively okay. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Yes, we see it. This one is 11. That's number serial number 72 is 11, and this was the one that shoot up the whole of the aggregate for that 19th of December. And we can see the order number. The quantity is 11. Order number is this 000261765. So that is the way to drill down into data after noticing some issues from the visualization. So you don't stay at the level of visualization. You want to go further into, okay, visualization has highlighted the issues to me now, so I can see that there is issue. So the next thing I need to do as an analyst is, how do I know or understand the reason for this issue? So I need to investigate. So I go back to the data to see, oh, this is what is responsible for it. A particular sales on that particular, one of the sales on the 19th of December was 11. Then I can now quote that date and write the source of the data that, okay, reference order number so that happened on so date. This was the number there, 11. Can you double check to be sure that the person does not want to write just one and somebody else mistakenly put additional one and now turn it into 11? So that is the kind of question you want to ask. And if it is actually 11, they need to explain to you what happened. Actually came? Is it a regular customer? Is it just a one-off? does the person, just all sort of questions around what could have led to this kind of purchase. Is it an indication that you need to follow up with such a customer and know more of their preferences and convert them to a more regular customer to get more patronage from them? What are their likes and dislikes, things like that. So those are the kind of insights the data you are working on eventually gives to you, and eventually helps you to rethink the processes and the different ways you do business and how to make the business perform better every now and then against competition. So that is that for that analysis. So, and that is also the point on interpreting visualization with respect to outliers. And as soon as you are able to lay your hand on outliers, those are the different ways you can deal with them and spot the whole issues out of whatever levels of outliers that is coming. And you can equally figure out if it is necessary to either get such outlying item deleted altogether from the entire data set, or after or having gotten more insight from whoever is in charge of that data, you want to go ahead and figure out, do we try to retain this particular item by just doing the little calculation and making it come a bit close to the highest number in the data sets that are aligning correctly, or if it is such a situation where the outlier is significantly lower than the rest of the data items in question. You want to also figure out, okay, do we want to use existing statistical formulas or principles to bring this outlier up, having confirmed that it is not an anomaly. It is actually a data point that happened the way it was recorded, even though the value is now lying completely outside of the range of values that every other items in that particular variable or observation in that column are talking about. So those are the sort of things you want to ensure you figure out before you go, before you continue in the whole analysis. Because if all these are not properly dealt with this way, or they are carelessly ignored, eventually the analysts will have some of the results clearly skewed. And if it's unfortunate, it's presented to people who have very thorough and detailed understanding about data. They want to ask questions, and that may pull up that particular issue. And if he had not done his assignment or homework before to understand what was responsible for that issue, or just swept it under the carpet as at the time it happened, then at that point in time, you won't have any answer to give to whoever is querying or trying to raise question on that particular aspect of the presentation, and that doesn't speak well. So, as somebody working with data, it's not a bread and butter exercise. It has to be something you are committed to very well, and you are ready to go all out to figure out whatever raises any questions at any point in time, and also ensure that you gather as much responses as possible for all forms of observation that require extra information beyond the data that has been presented. Because at the end of the day, when you have dealt with the data, you've analyzed the data, you've presented it clearly well, you still need to have the skill of telling a short and good story, which you call data storytelling, to whoever you are presenting to. Those are the kind of line or story that connect all the dots together in whatever you have done in the data being presented on the visualization um, page or canvas or channel whatever the case would be. So it is something very important for any analyst not to overlook for any reason whatsoever. So we've successfully covered the charts so far now, and I'm not sure there is any other need on dealing with chart that we have not done. You can clean charts, you can move items around on charts, you can make your chart as clean and clear as possible. You can break a very large data into smaller ones and make sense of it. You can also um, spot whatever anomalies that is in any part of the data, flag it, and decide what to do. Either you want to get it deleted or you want to altogether consider it to be retained and just make it get closer to either the highest number or the lowest number, depending on whether that particular outlier was seen to be significantly higher than the highest or significantly lower than the lowest of the rest of the data in the data range under context or under discussion. So those are the sort of things that are necessarily needed to be done, and we've already covered that. So what's the time now? Uh, we won't be able to take the next one. The next topic will be on VLOOKUP. And as soon as you are able to finish VLOOKUP, then that will wrap up all our discussion on Excel so far. Then we'll be moving down to SQL. SQL is structured query language, which I've mentioned before right from the beginning. So, and that will be on what module now? I think that will be module 6. Where is it? Module 4. Yeah, that will be module 6, Introduction to Relational Databases and SQL. So that is where we'll be moving into in the next session. So we are improving our capability to query data, to familiarize ourselves with data, to extract insight from data, and to become better in handling data as people in charge of other people or people dealing with data as per our daily activities in our career and work life. So, on this note, we will have to draw the curtain now while we reconvene next week to take up VLOOKUP, and hopefully we are able to finish VLOOKUP that next session. Thereafter, we'll move to SQL and relational database. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining today's section. See you in the absence of no question. If there is any, then we can see. Is there any question? If there is none, then we can see next session for VLOOKUP, and we will move thereafter to relational databases and SQL. Thank you for your time as always. Bye for now. Have a wonderful week ahead.